everybody, I'm back. Nexi is here, no longer sick, and the arena season has started. I cannot wait to start queuing, but before we get into that, I think it's time to give you guys a guide. Basically, what I'm going to be doing going into this season is running a specific build. It's pretty easy. Now, there are two ways we can do this. The first way is I simply just tell you what the best stuff is. The second way, which I'll do afterwards, is go into in-depth explanation on why I'm picking something and when I would switch out. I want to do this because I'm sure a lot of you monks out there are like me, and you want to know the ins and outs about the class. Instead of just learning the best stuff, you also want to know why that's the case, why they work well, and everything of that sort. So first, for those who are watching this video who only care about quickly checking the best stuff, let's get straight to that first. So Chi Wave, Tiger's Lust, Energizing Elixir, Leg Sweep, Healing Elixir, Hit Combo, and Serenity. That's the build you want to run here in your regular talents. For the Honor talents, well, I prestiged, so I don't have everything yet. But if you have everything, what you want to go is Gladiator's Medallion, Reinforced Armor, Yulon's Gift, Fortifying Elixir, Tiger Style, and Heavy-Handed Strikes. So that's the Honor talents in terms of what you want to go as your default build. So that's what you want to run. That's basically the guide right there. Now, if you are interested in why I pick these specific things and when you want to switch out to something else and why something may not be chosen, continue watching the video. So let's get straight to the in-depth reasons for why I have this specific build. So why am I picking Chi Wave as my best talent? Well, first of all, Hit Combo is a very strong talent, and whenever you use a different ability, it gives you a stack, and you need different abilities to keep your mastery going. So basically, our mastery is extremely strong in this expansion. Your abilities deal 38% more damage. If they are not a repeat. So if you Tiger Palm, your second Tiger Palm will not gain this damage. And if you're running Hit Combo, which you should be, if you use the same ability again, it will actually remove all of your stacks and you have to build it up again. So it's very important that you keep using different abilities every time. And Chi Wave helps you do this. Now, technically, all three of them are roughly the same. You can use whatever one you want. But Chi Wave is pretty much the best because of a couple of reasons. First of all, Chi Burst no longer does amazing damage like it did in Warlords of Draenor. Second, Serenity only lasts 8 seconds, and because of this, we don't have a whole lot of room to fit different abilities into our burst, and Chi Burst does not fit in terms of priority. We have a lot of stronger abilities that should be used within Serenity. So because of this, Chi Burst ends up being a random ability that you cast out of nowhere, and it's really awkward. It can be kicked. Overall, it just doesn't do a whole lot, and it roots you in place to cast it, everything, and it has a long cooldown as well, 30 seconds compared to 15. So overall, Chi Wave is just better in every single way. Now, Eye of the Tiger is a passive, so if you don't want to use Chi Wave, you can go Eye of the Tiger, but here's the problem. You are going to be switching targets all the time. You won't be sitting on the same target the entire match, unless you're not the best at the game, and that's just how you want to play. But technically, if you're very strategic and stuff, you know when to switch targets, and switching targets can be a pretty common thing. Now, the reason why this is a problem with Eye of the Tiger is because it stacks a heal on you and a damage over time effect on your target. Now, once you switch targets, it does, like, basically you can only have one damage over time effect on one target at a time. So once you switch targets, it has to rebuild itself all over again. It doesn't stay on that target. So you have to basically try and stick to a target as much as you can. And that's the only downside to Eye of the Tiger. Now, Chi Wave is really good because it's a different ability. It's not a passive. So because of this, you can keep your mastery going. You can keep your hit combo going. It's going to generate a charge of hit combo. So overall, it has a lot of benefits. The bad things about Chi Wave, though, is first of all, it will jump to all of your targets. It's going to jump to you and your two partners, or one if you're queuing 2v2. It's also going to jump to your enemies, whether it's 2 or 3 of them. So because of this, it spreads its damage and healing out. So if you're looking to heal yourself, it's not going to give you a whole lot because it's going to keep jumping to your teammates and not just yourself. If this was a 1v1, it would be a lot more useful and a lot more impactful, but because there's multiple targets to choose from, it really reduces the value of it. But still, because of the whole hit combo synergy and the mastery synergy, I really think Chi Wave is still the best choice. In terms of the next tier, Chi Torpedo is basically momentum, and we know how momentum is. It completely sucks, so just pretend this doesn't exist. It's terrible. Celerity reduces the cooldown and gives you an extra charge of roll. Well, roll isn't that big of a deal because Tiger's Lust is better. Without Tiger's Lust, not only can we not use it on other teammates to get them out of sticky situations, but on top of that, it's the only way we can clear root effects without actually using our trinket. So if an entangling roots or something ends up on us, we need Tiger's Lust for that. And in most cases this season, most likely, everybody is going to be playing a melee. And everyone's playing a melee, they're usually going to train your healer and not get off them. So your healer might need some help getting away. And if you can Tiger's Lust your healer, he can possibly get away, survive, and then keep you guys up and eventually win the match. Tiger's Lust has saved my healer a lot of times. My friend Autoimmune loves this ability. I use it all the time on him in 2s and everything when he's trying to get away. So overall, Tiger's Lust, definitely the best choice. You can use it on teammates, you can use it on yourself. It's the only route to clear we have besides Trinket, which trinketing a route is pretty terrible, except in very rare situations. So yeah, Tiger's Lust, best choice. For this tier, it's very simple. Which one gives you the most chi and which one gives you the most energy? Well, by far, Energizing Elixir. Energizing Elixir gives you full chi and full energy no matter how much you have. So that's 5 chi and 130 energy, assuming you have your artifact trait, which you will eventually get. So 30 energy there, which therefore increases the value of your Energizing Elixir. So getting 130 energy and 5 chi every 1 minute compared to 4 chi every 1 minute, and who knows how much chi you get from this, but it's not very much. The energy regeneration is pretty terrible. So overall, it's really a competition between Power Strikes and Energizing Elixir, and I just told you guys now that Energizing Elixir is by far more value. So Energizing Elixir is the best, and it's also very valuable because if you need chi at a specific moment, for example, if you're bursting without Serenity, like with Storm, Earth, and Fire or something, Energizing Elixir is very valuable for that. So overall, yeah, Energizing Elixir is the best. In terms of the next tier, we have Ring of Peace, which has been changed once again. They always change this ability, I swear, at least once in expansion. Ring of Peace, what it does now is you can still place it on yourself or targets, or not targets, yourself or friendly targets, and whenever an enemy casts something or uses an ability within that circle, it knocks them back. It's absolutely useless, except for a few situations outside of arenas, like Battlegrounds. If you're on Eye of the Storm, or say you're at Lumbermill in Arathi Basin, you can possibly knock them off the ledge and kill them. But in terms of arenas, which is what this guide is for, it's completely useless. You're much better with Leg Sweep, which is a 5-second stun, 45-second cooldown. This ability right here gets you a lot of trinkets, and the next time it comes up, your opponent does not have a trinket for another 1 minute and 15 seconds, which means if you have Serenity there, you can actually kill them there, and there's nothing they can do about it because they used their trinket earlier. So Leg Sweep is really good for killing people in burst, especially now with Windwalker's one-shots. You definitely want Leg Sweep. The only time you really switch to Dizzying Kicks, or even Ring of Peace, is if you have too many stuns on your team. So if you're, for whatever reason, queuing, say, Windwalker Rogue or something like that, basically you may not want Leg Sweep because you already have a lot of stuns. So slowing a target down by a lot, which is 70% here, with your Blackout Kicks, it can be very valuable in some situations, but honestly, you shouldn't even be queuing with a Rogue anyway. But if you're having fun like I was at like the last day of Season 3 of Warlords, I was actually queuing Windwalker Rogue Discipline, so this might have been more handy than Leg Sweep. But 99.9% of the time, competitively especially, Leg Sweep is number one for sure. For the 75 tier, Blizzard has nerfed all 3. Healing Elixirs has become a ability you can randomly use now, so you put it on your bar and you choose when to use it when you want. You get 1 every 30 seconds instead of 18 seconds, so that's a nerf. And Diffuse Magic, they increase the cooldown from 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. There's a Demon Hunter right here. If he attacks me, don't you dare fucking attack me. Don't do it, man, because you're gonna get one shot. Good, yeah, you run away. Okay, so anyway, Diffuse Magic, 2 minute cooldown instead of 1.5. Damage taken is now 60% reduction instead of 90%. So they did nerf it, but it can still be valuable. It does hurt quite a lot though with that nerf. I used to love this against Warlock Shaman teams in 2v2. It helped a lot reducing some of that damage. It's obviously nerfed quite a lot now. So it could still be useful against certain burst situations, like if you're playing Mage, Destruction Warlock, and they try to one-shot you, you could use it. It could still be valuable. But overall, I feel like Healing Elixir gives you a lot more output and a lot more value, especially considering Reinforced Armor, which gives us 10% health, which therefore buffs Healing Elixir in a way. So overall, I think Healing Elixir is the best choice. Dampen Harm is basically like Momentum. You just pretend it's not there, it's terrible, it's useless in every situation, and for some reason they still nerfed it. They nerfed it from 50% to 30%. So pretty crappy. Overall, Healing Elixir, by far the best choice. Level 90 tier, Zwen still sucks. He's actually okay, but compared to the other two, as usual, he's the worst out of the three, so therefore he's just terrible. Rushing Jadewin is pretty good. It costs 1 chi now instead of energy, so it's easier to get that AoE out. You can pair it well with Spinning Crane Kick, but in terms of arenas, Spinning Crane Kick sucks, so you want to pretend that's not there. Rushing Jadewin, though, it can be useful, especially if you're facing, like, Holy Pally 2 melee or something, so all 3 of them are stacked up. And if all 3 of them are stacked up, well, you can hit all 3 of them consistently, and that can give you some decent cleave damage. So if you're trying to do some kind of cleave damage comp, Rushing Jadewin can help with that. However, even with that kind of situation, hit combo just seems to be the best. If you can keep it up, which is really easy because Mastery, you have to keep using different abilities. So you're going to have that practice just by playing the class itself. So once you get used to that Mastery, which it's very easy to get used to, the only way you screw it up is basically Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick. Everything else has a cooldown, so you can never use it twice in a row. So it's really just Blackout Kick and Tiger Palm. As long as you don't screw that up, you're fine. And hit combo, which is very easy to keep up, will give you 16% damage at all times, including during your burst, which is very important. So when you go to try and one-shot someone with Serenity, Strike of the Windlord, Fist of Fury, you have 16% damage from hit combo. So that can be the difference between a kill and whether or not they live. Also known as a difference between a win and a loss. So hit combo just gives you so much damage, especially if you can keep it up. Innuendo there, I'm sure, somewhere. So overall, hit combo is just the most value by far. In terms of the final tier here, Chi Orbit does terrible damage. Just take a look at it. 35,000 every 5 seconds. Whirling Dragon Punch, 296,000. It's an extra ability, not a passive, so it helps with hit combo, and it's just a lot of damage, and it doesn't split between targets. So the more targets you're hitting, the more damage you're doing. So it's pretty good overall, but Serenity is the best compared to Dragon Punch, even though Dragon Punch is the second best. Just ignore this ability, pretend it's not there, it's terrible, it's ugly, I hate everything about this, I'm salty about this ability, delete it. Now, in terms of these two, if you want to go Storm, Earth, and Fire, that's fine, but Serenity is way better than Storm, Earth, and Fire because it's reliable and it does a lot more in terms of burst. In arenas, it's all about killing someone within a burst setup. You only have a few seconds before they come out of CC, so killing someone within that stun while their healer is paralysis or sheeped or whatever, that's where Serenity shines because it's all about that burst damage, and once you have used your abilities, they come back up pretty quickly. So Serenity is really good for that. It's really good for the burst pressure in a short window of time, whereas Whirling Dragon Punch is more sustained damage. It's kind of bursty with Storm, Earth, and Fire, but the biggest reason why Serenity, besides the fact it's a burst ability or burst cooldown, is Storm, Earth, and Fire can actually be countered quite easily. The spirits can get rooted or CC'd, even though you're not CC'd, they are, so you're doing less damage. They split your damage. They make you do less damage if they're not doing anything. So because of that, they're kind of unreliable, easily countered. It just makes Serenity much more valuable, besides the fact that it's much better for burst anyway. So Serenity, definitely the best choice. Trust me, go check out my burst guide. You'll see the difference between the two. Serenity is a lot better. Now, in terms of the honor talents, we have Gladiator's Medallion. This will reduce the cooldown on your honorable medallion from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, and you can use it whenever you want. Adaptation, you cannot choose when to use it. When you get hit by a CC that's 5 seconds or longer, it will automatically trinket it. You can't choose. But the cooldown is only 1 minute. So basically, you can either have a 2-minute cooldown on your trinket, and you can choose whenever to trinket, or you can have a 1-minute cooldown, but you can't choose. Now, trust me, being able to choose is a lot more powerful than adaptation. It's terrible. If let's say you're facing a rogue and the rogue saps you, it's going to trinket a sap, and that's like PvP 101. Don't trinket a sap. So adaptation is terrible. You can try and gamble with it against some comps, right? Some comps that don't have CC, for example, unless it's like one thing like a Stormbolt or whatever, and even then it's not 5 seconds. So if it's like a really CC, like a lacking CC comp, like let's say it's like Warrior, Death Knight, Holy Pally, the only thing that's really going to trinket this is, or the only thing that's really going to proc this is Hammer of Justice. So that's really good. But other than that, there's only, like, it's a very rare case basically. But otherwise, adaptation is just terrible. Relentless, terrible unless you're an orc. If you're an orc and you're facing double melee like Rogue, Windwalker or something, or Rogue Warrior, that's a lot of stuns. So you might want to pick this up because with your racial hardiness and this, you're reducing damage, or not damage, you're reducing duration of stuns by 45%. So you are almost halving stuns. So it's going to be really hard for them to kill you within a stun. So if you're an orc, Relentless can be very valuable. However, if you're not an orc like me, I'm a night elf, and even if I was Horde, I'd be probably Tauren or Undead. So Gladiator's Medallion, by far the best choice. In terms of the next tier, hardiness. While you're above 80% health, you take 20% less damage. This isn't very valuable because it's very easy to drop below 80%. The only time this can be remotely useful is if you have multiple healers. For example, if you're doing like 20 versus 20 or something, you will almost always be topped because you have multiple healers AoE healing you. However, this is about 2v2 and 3v3. There is a good chance you won't be below 80, or you won't be above 80% health a lot. Reinforced armor just seems to be the best choice, and I'll show you guys exactly why. So reinforced armor increases your health by 10%. Seems kind of crappy, right? Well, it doesn't just increase your health, because the Windwalker toolkit is based on health. Let's take a look here. Healing elixir heals you for 15% of your health. So the more health you have, the more it's going to heal. So by going reinforced armor, by increasing your health, you're technically increasing the healing of healing elixir. On top of that, touch of karma will absorb damage up to 50% of your health. So again, the more health you have, the more it will absorb. On top of that, the more it will also heal with good karma. Now we have healing winds. When you Transcendence Transfer, you heal yourself for a percentage of your health. Again, the more health you have, the more that percentage is. Fortifying Brew increases your health by 20%. So as you can see, there is a lot of defensive abilities in our toolkit. Basically, our defensive toolkit is based on our percentage of health. So by getting that 10%, you're technically increasing the effectiveness of all of your defensive abilities by a percentage. So it's very valuable in a lot of cases. Now, we do have sparring here. Physical attacks against you have a 20% chance to deal 50% reduced damage. So basically, you have a chance to half damage. This can be very, very good against double melee. Double melee is going to be a popular comp going into this season. Whether it's Demon Hunter Warrior, Warrior DK, DK Windwalker, doesn't matter. Double melee is a huge thing right now. You won't see a whole lot of casters. When you see that double melee, you immediately want to go into sparring, because if they choose to target you, there's a good amount of chances that you will block a lot of attacks by half the damage. And that can be the difference between popping karma and not popping it, and it can be the difference between dying in a stun and not dying in a stun. Now, just imagine an orc with Relentless and sparring. That's going to be absolutely torturous for someone like us who's trying to kill them. So you might not want to actually kill them. So sparring with Relentless is a good combo if you're orc, but still, sparring is really good against double melee. For the next tier, it's a pretty easy one. Yulon's Gift. Using Roll or Flying Serpent Kick will remove all slow effects, so this will help you catch healers, catch targets. Windwalkers are really good to sticking to a target, so Yulon's Gift, definitely the best choice. However, there is a chance you can use Eminence. This will reduce the cooldown on Transcendence Transfer. Now, this is a pretty decent talent, especially in 2v2, and the reason for that is because if you're not queuing with a healer, let's say you're queuing double DPS, Healing Winds will heal you every time you Transcendence Transfer. With a reduced cooldown, you can get this heal more often, and especially with pairing the Reinforced Armor, that's quite a lot of healing, so there are some specific situations where you might want to pick this up, like double DPS 2s, but otherwise Yulon's Gift seems to be the best. As far as fast feet goes, 15% movement speed after being attacked really doesn't do a whole lot, because most cases, if you're being attacked, you're going to get slowed by 50% or more, and that's a lot more slowing than this effect, so it kind of like makes this useless. But on top of that, Yulon's Gift, why would you want the speed when you can just take away the slow effect with Yulon's Gift? So overall, it just makes a lot more sense to go with the gift over fast feet. In terms of the next tier, we have Whirling Kicks here. Spinning Crane Kick increases your movement speed by 100% and heals you for 10% health over 5 seconds. That's 2% per second. And the number of targets struck by Spinning Crane Kick increases this effect. 100% useless in Arena because, first of all, Spinning Crane Kick costs way too much. It costs 3 chi. It's not very good for single target. It's just terrible. So just that alone really knocks this out. On top of that, the healing and stuff doesn't even compare to Fortifying Brew. 1.5 minute cooldown, which is very low. It synergizes well with Touch of Karma because Touch of Karma is also 1.5 minute cooldown, and also its effect. It increases your health by 20%, which is buffed by Reinforced Armor, and it also reduces damage taken by 20%. So Fortifying Brew is just basically a double effect, or not double effect, it's buffed compared to the previous Fortifying Brews from Warlords and Mob. They halved the cooldown, which is absolutely amazing. Zen Meditation, 3 minute cooldown, way too long. No way this is going to be viable compared to the other two choices, and on top of that, it only lasts 4 seconds. So Chance of anyone picking this up over Fortifying Elixir, big mistake, although it would be pretty funny to see this actually work in some situations, like against a Destro lock or something. But other than that, really, Zen Meditation is terrible. Fortifying Elixir is way better. For the next tier, we have Tiger Style. This will allow you to turn with your Flying Serpent Kick. This is very useful in 2v2 especially. So let's take an example here. Say I'm queuing Windwalker Demon Hunter, and I queue into a Windwalker Paladin. We kill the Paladin, the Windwalker's running away. He teleports behind a pillar. I can turn around the pillar and catch him. If I don't have this talent, I can't do that, which really slows me down and gives him time to heal up. So by having this turn effect, it makes it really easy to catch healers, catch DPS, catch anyone that's using pillars. It's really good. Pillars are a big important part of arenas, and you want to be able to get around those very easily, and this is how you can do it. So Tiger Style is a really good way. On top of that, if you're facing something like a hunter or a mage that's trying to kite you, and they try to dodge your Flying Serpent Kick, you can turn towards them, which basically doesn't make your Flying Serpent Kick useless. So they can't dodge it because you can turn. So overall, it just makes that one charge of Serpent Kick very useful. The other choice we have is 2 charges of Flying Serpent Kick. Now, if you seem to need this, chances of you having 2 stored up is very rare. You will always have 1 charging. Now, because of that, you probably don't need Double Dragon then, because basically start off with 2 at the start of the match. But after that, chances of you saving 1 up for 30 seconds and then generating another, pretty rare case. You're probably going to use Flying Serpent Kick every time off cooldown. So because of that, I feel like the second charge isn't really needed, and you don't really need that second one if you're making use of your first one by being able to turn and make sure you're on them. So I feel Tiger Style is a lot better. Ride the Wind, I can see some very rare cases where this can be valuable. Whenever you Flying Serpent Kick, it leaves a path of wind for your partners to take, and it prevents them from being slowed. It prevents them from basically being charged and trained. So if you're like queuing with a healer and you need him to get away from the DPS, you can use this and it will allow him to get there. The other way you can use this as well is you can use it offensively. If you're queuing Walking Dead with a DK and the DK can't get to the healer, you can use this. You'll catch up to the healer and your DK will get movement speed and no longer slowed. So this will help your DK or whatever partner that you're with to catch up to the target or either to escape DPS. So there is some utility here. I'm kind of excited to test this out just to get a couple clips with it just to see how useful it is. So it's a really cool talent. I like stuff like this where it may not be the best talent, but because it's kind of useful and it has its own strategic way of using it, I like to try and make some strategies out of this just for some fun. Keeps the game fun for me instead of using the same talent over and over again. And finally, for the last tier, we have Rushing Tiger Palm. This will make Tiger Palm a 10-yard range instead of 5. By the way, melee range is 5 yards. So this will make it a 10-yard range, and it allows you to charge the target, basically. So when you Tiger Palm and you're not in front of them, you'll charge to them and slow them for 2 seconds. Very useful if you need the mobility. However, it competes with a stun effect. Heavy-handed strikes, Fists of Fury has a 5-yard range increase, so it's up to 10 yards, which is huge, and also allows it to stun. So this is an extremely important talent. You should not be using Tiger Palm here or Fire Blossom. You should be using this every single time. The stun is just way too important, and the 5-yard range allows it not only easier to connect to the target to do more damage, because sometimes you'll try and use it and they can walk right out. If you don't have the stun effect, they will just walk right out, or they'll use a defensive and you're screwed. So the stun is extremely important to land kills. The range and the stun both together are extremely important to land the damage and to activate it. So overall, it's just extremely important. Spinning Fire Blossom, it's really just to root a target at range. If you really need that kind of mobility, you might as well go Double Dragon or even Tiger Palm. I feel like those two are way better, but if you really needed it, I would say Double Dragon, and you should still keep with the stun. So overall, those are the reasons why I pick what I pick, when I would switch to something, and why I don't pick what I choose not to pick, basically. If you guys have any questions about this guide, don't be afraid to leave a question down below, or a comment, I should say. So that's basically the guide for 2v2 and 3v3 arenas. For Ashran, dungeon guides, all that different stuff, I'll make separate guides for those. Somewhere on the video here, you can see a annotation somewhere. You can click that. You'll see all of my Legion guides. I do have a burst guide there right now with this video. So if you want to check out the burst guide and learn how to one-shot people, check out that guide and you can one-shot people. You will do really good in arenas. The arena season just started, so this guide's going to help you guys prepare for that, and it's also going to help you one-shot. So check out that guide, and if I have any other guides there in the near future, when you guys see this video, check those videos out as well. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.